welcome into Carpooling with Ben. Folks, he is a YouTube legend long before YouTube was out there. And because of that clip, you got to figure this guy has a great sense of humor. So he's run a number of comedy series. The newest one is the Southcoast Comedy Series, ladies and gentlemen, of NBC 10 Hall of Fame, Mr. Joe Rocco in the car.
That's a hell of an introduction.
Well,
I should get out right now while we're ahead. Wow.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow the links below. Absolutely. Are we
going for ice cream, by the way?
We could do that. Sure. Why not? Is the barn open yet? Or?
It was in the deal from your people who talked to my people that we were getting ice cream today.
What's the craziest request you've ever had? Because you've worked with, hundreds of comedians.
Okay.
What's the craziest thing you've ever had on a rider?
From a comedian. Oh,
yeah.
On the rider. You know, the comedian riders weren't that bad. I've done a couple of big music groups lately for a private event I do in New York every January. We had the OJs last month. We worked with Aretha Franklin, Michael Bolton, Kristen Chenoweth. But even they were pretty tame. You know, we never had the, you have to have the purple colored M&Ms. That's never happened. So nothing too outrageous, Ben, really. Michael Bolton, a few hours before the show, Bolton's advance person was down there surveying the table of like 92 items that we had to get for him, food and beverage. Yep. And she called me over and said, "We have a major problem." And I said, "Uh-oh, did Michael faint? Does he have the flu? Did he break an ankle?" No, there were 6 different breakfast bars, and we, I guess, left out the strawberry flavor breakfast bar that was missing among the 92 items because my assistant couldn't find it, and she was a little panicky. But luckily, we sent someone out to the streets of Manhattan where this event takes place, and we found the strawberry breakfast bar and saved the show.
Absolutely.
It was tense. It was very tense. And Michael Bolton was very happy and put on a wonderful show. And here's the flip side. At the very end, he looked at the table, and I said, "I hope everything's there for you. You'll be happy." He says, "Looks good, but we're going out to dinner."
Those bars left over. We'll hit up the snacks
after the ice cream. After we have ice cream.
Absolutely. But you got this wonderful series coming up pretty soon. It'll start in April, goes right through to June. It is the Southcoast Comedy Series presented by Carl's Collision Center and Linex. You've been doing these series for a number of years. You got great comedians lined up here, and you always tie in a bit of a charitable element. So let's do this. Let's talk about some of the acts first, and then we'll talk about the really cool thing that we're trying to bring into Southern New England.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, as you know, Ben, we did 15 years of the Newport Comedy Series, and we had some terrific acts and a great variety, from Lily Tomlin, the late, great Joan Rivers, to Kevin Hart, Amy Schumer, Bill Burr, Brian Regan, et cetera, et cetera. And you were there for a lot of those shows, and we had a great time and lots of laughs on the Newport waterfront. That came to an end in 2015 when the Yachting Center sold the property. In the meantime, we came across a terrific venue and some people we're excited to be working with at White's of Westport. Now, it seems like almost everybody in our area has been to a banquet or some kind of an event at the popular White's of Westport, right off 195 in Westport, Massachusetts.
Sure.
So we are going to begin, as you mentioned, the Southcoast Comedy Series, starting April 12th, our first show.
The inaugural
Back to the Future.
That's it.
And Tom Cotter, Warwick's own, who nearly won America's Got Talent 6 years ago.
Huge. Absolutely
hilarious. And he will be our headliner comedian. But here's the ironic part. Maybe this will be an answer to a trivia question someday. The guy opening for Tom Cotter, a terrific headliner in his own right, one of the best comedy club headliners in America, is Tony V out of Boston.
Oh, yeah.
And Tony's been in Rhode Island in numerous shows over the years, and we had him in the early days of Newport, and I still book him for smaller venues. Tony's going to be the opening guy for Tom Cotter.
Wow.
The very first show in 2001 at the Newport Yachting Center was Steve Sweeney. The opening act guy who nobody knew, including us, that night was Tony V.
Really?
So here we are 18 years later, and Newport worked out terrific. So a little superstitious, little good omen, call it what you want. We're bringing in Tony V instead of just a lower level opening act guy. And plus, we want it to be a fantastic show, not just a good show. And Tony is tremendous.
Well, your lineup, all the shows, just looking at your lineup here, all the shows are going to be fantastic. May 4th, you've got Lenny Clark. This is not a local show by meaning of, hey, you got this guy down the street who's a comedian and he's just starting. This is a practically almost all these guys are internationally known.
Lenny's been in more failed sitcoms and TV shows than any man in America, by the way. But we love him.
Yeah.
And the fans love him. And we've had 2 terrific sold-out shows the last 2 Novembers at the Greenwich Odeum with Lenny Clark. I'll even give you a scoop. We have not announced this yet.
Oh.
And we're going to later in March. But we are going to bring Lenny back to East Greenwich in November, on Saturday night, November 16th.
Okay.
To be announced in late March. Tickets go on sale then. And we're bringing with him this year another Boston comedy legend named Steve Sweeney. And we're calling it A Legendary Night. Sweeney's absolutely hilarious, nuttier than ever, but funnier than ever.
Sure.
And you normally would never see Lenny and Steve on the same stage together. A, it's an expensive show to do.
Yeah.
And B, it's almost overkill.
Yeah.
But after the last 2 sold-out shows with Lenny and a young lady who's very funny named Christine Hurley, we said, how do we top this next November? So it's going to be A Legendary Night, Sweeney and Lenny Clark, November 16th, at, not to confuse things, at the Greenwich Odeum. But we're thrilled to have Lenny come into White's of Westport on May 4th. Same thing that night, opening up, instead of a lower-level, inexpensive comedian to open the show.
Or somebody free like myself.
I didn't know you were free. Oh, well, then we'll have to give you... My people will call your people, and maybe we can get you in one of these shows.
I don't think people would pay to see me.
Well, put you up there for 3 minutes and see what's the worst that can happen. They'll throw things at you, and you put in a claim.
Yeah,
you know, you never know.
Hey, something.
There you go. But opening for Lenny is going to be another guy who is arguably the funniest comedy club headliner in America, and that would be Paul D'Angelo. And he's built up a little bit of a following in many different appearances in Rhode Island, and we book him for things, and had him at the Greenwich Odeum for a fundraiser last fall. He actually absolutely killed. So Paul's going to open up for Lenny, again, another double barrel, 2 headliners in one night kind of show.
That's incredible.
And then after that, we go to Gilbert Gottfried, May 18th. Never worked with Gilbert. I've heard him on, obviously, radio, TV a lot.
Sure.
We're excited to have him.
I heard him in Aladdin.
Okay.
He was the voice of the parrot.
I didn't know that.
Oh, there's a big surprise. That's an incredible... I think I'm going to have a heart attack and die from that surprise.
Yeah.
See, I didn't see that.
Absolutely. See, that's how you're going to hook the millennials.
Okay.
Growing up with Aladdin.
Yeah.
He was the parrot. Wow, what was his name?
He was
Jafar was the bad guy in the parrot. And
See, I
forget the name of the
I don't
parrot.
go out much these days, and I live a very sheltered life.
It was on VHS. You couldn't even DVR it back then.
Well, there you go. See, that's how I was out of the loop. He was also more popular as the Aflac Duck.
Right.
Remember? Aflac.
Yes.
Gilbert Gottfried, ladies and gentlemen.
Aflac.
The one you really need to have. If you don't have it, that's why you need it.
Need what?
Aflac.
Well, if you get hurt and miss work, it won't hurt to miss work.
He's got a very
Aflac Duck.
distinct voice. Yeah, no, that's...
He certainly does.
This series extends into June.
Correct. We had 2 shows in June.
Yep.
Nick DiPaolo, another guy I've always liked, admired, never seen him. Very funny. Had a show with Artie Lang on Sirius XM recently. He's appeared everywhere, basically. Massachusetts guy based in New York right now. Nick DiPaolo. Comedy fans will know him. And then June 8th, hot off the presses, we just announced that Pablo Francisco, Comedy Central, The Tonight Show, a few other appearances late night. And then we may add one more show for June 29th to close out the series. Again, they're all at the Whites of Westport, and the website is southcoastcomedy.com for those not memorizing all of this vital information.
We will link that, obviously, in the show notes.
That's very nice of you.
Well, it's what we do, a full-service web series here.
You're good.
Well, hey, 137, 8 episodes in.
How many have you done?
You are going to be number 138.
Wow.
Yeah. So, plus a couple,
Who's the most, like, you've had many more people, much more famous than me. Throw out a few names, since I threw out a few big names that we'll be working with.
I've had Emily Luther from NBC's The Voice.
Okay.
She's been in the car.
Impressive.
Michaela Johnson of the Road Show and the in-host arena at the Boston Bruins.
There you go.
I have had, let's see, you may have heard of this guy, Gene Valicenti.
Never heard of him.
He is.
Who else have you had? How about retired weatherman Gary Leigh? He's got a lot of time on his hands, I'm told.
I I haven't had him.
should-
Do you have a connection?
I can hook you up with Gary. He'd
Italian,
love
right?
to hear from you.
Absolutely.
think
He'd
he'd
probably
love
love
to
to hear from me because I'd tell him right off the bat that when I was in first grade, he came to Day Spring Christian Academy to talk about the weather.
That alone could provide a riveting 5 minutes. That could be your whole segment.
I remember him using his hand to draw like molecules or something like, oh, you pretend I forget exactly what I was just.
He'll give you some great Art Lake stories. Be sure to ask him about
I will.
Art Lake.
I will.
Right.
Speaking of NBC 10,
Yes.
what are they, 90 this year, 100? 70?
I think it's
70?
75.
75?
70 years, 75 years.
It's big.
That's right.
It's a big anniversary
Well,
for them.
it's it's a dominant, still outstanding television station, and they've been doing it for a long time. They're getting the hang of it now.
And I have more cameras in here than they have in their studio.
Do you really?
Well,
That's very impressive.
don't tell Vic Vetters that. So get back to this here, because there's an organization out there bringing a wall as a permanent memorial, and it's a replica scaled down a bit. Tell me about this.
Yeah, and scaled down not that much. There's a very ambitious group based in Fall River that is, not trying, but is, because it's happening.
Oh, okay.
Bringing a Vietnam memorial wall to Fall River. It'll be 80% the size, and they've raised a lot of money. They continue to raise a lot of money, and we're going to help them raise a few bucks as well. They will be at all of our shows at White's of Westport.
Fantastic.
And they will be selling raffle tickets. First prize will be a $1,500 Cardi's gift card. You ever heard of them? They're a good
Right back
place.
there in the back seat, Nick, Ron, and Pete.
There you go.
They're
And being the
looking good.
generous guys that they are,
Sure.
they are a sponsor of the series. They're giving us a bunch of gift cards, and we're giving many of those gift cards to this project as their grand prize. They'll have a second and third prize as well of some value.
Fantastic.
And we're going to help them sell lots of raffle tickets at the shows, and I would hope they would sell them otherwise
Sure,
in the
absolutely.
area. And then on the final night of our final show in June, we will pull a winner, much like we did for many years in a row down in Newport with a wish come true.
Right, yeah.
So it's going to be very exciting. You'll be hearing a lot more about this. It's going to be big news. This is a major big league replica. There's only 6 others or 7 others in the country at this point of the Vietnam Memorial Wall, and it's going to happen in Fall River, and that's going to be the only one in southern New England, I'm told. But we're really excited about that, and hopefully we can help them raise lots of money, and someone's going to win a terrific gift card from
Cardi's Furniture
Cardi's
and Mattresses.
Furniture and Mattresses.
And you can get yourself a lovely outdoor furniture. The outdoor collection is in stock right now, folks. Summer is coming. Don't pay no attention to those piles of snow around us. Summer is coming. Spring is coming.
By April 12th, our first night, we hope to have all the snow out. I think we don't have to worry about a snowstorm, but you never know. The show goes on, rain, shine, or snow,
Well, there
April
you go.
12th.
You never had to worry about that with the Summer Comedy Festival.
No, but
it was
you-
more of the hurricane-ish.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because 15 years in Newport, and you would think, hurricane season, August, we went right through August, a few years into early September, and we never had to dodge a hurricane.
There you go.
Yep.
Let's get back to something we alluded to in the beginning there, because
The ice cream? Or is that-
it's that too.
or we could go for coffee.
We could. I mean, there's a Dunkin' Donuts.
But there's a comedian doing that, and I don't think you want to.
Yeah,
copy
well, I
him.
mean, I'd love to copy his success. He's done very well.
Yeah, but that would be hokey if it was Ben
Yeah.
and Joe in cars getting coffee.
Yeah, no, that would be. Although I could go for a coffee. It's about that time. You have become a viral sensation even before the word viral was used in a video sense.
No one's ever called me a viral sensation.
Well, it's all over. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen the clip, and obviously the night that it happened, it was pretty big. You had quite the experience one year at was it a season opener for McCoy?
Opening night, McCoy Stadium in my Channel 10 sportscaster days.
Yeah.
Doing the whole show from there. And apparently a moody umpire got a complaint from the pitcher that the TV lights were bothering him. We were off third base. We had done 100 live shots before.
Yep.
Channel 6 was there. Channel 12 was there.
Broad daylight.
Yeah, it was, it
it
was a
was-
6 o'clock start, so it was, 6.
But it was still plenty of light outside.
Absolutely. It was April, because so 6:15, it was bright,
Sure.
And the umpire comes over,
in the middle of your live shot.
About a minute into a 4-minute sportscast and said,
Holding up the game for this. We're not holding up the game.
we're on live
for it.
TV, sir.
Fine.
Okay.
Shut the game.
We'll be at
shut the
30
lights
seconds.
off.
Okay,
No,
thank
we're
you.
not holding up the game.
All right. The umpires
We are
are giving
not
us a
holding up
little
the
heat
game.
here. Okay, we'll be done in about
Okay.
30 seconds.
No, you won't.
Nice
You'll be
to see
done now.
Okay, I'm going to get thrown out here on opening night. And it's like, who the heck is this guy? And I turn around and I said, well, we're on live TV, sir. We'll be done in like 3 minutes. He didn't want to hear it. And so the other umpire from on bases comes over too. And then he goes, well, let's call security.
Security, please.
They're calling
Can we get security over here, please?
All right, they're cutting the lights. We got to go. They want us out of here. And I kind of chuckled because I know all the guys, or I knew them all at McCoy, and it's not like it's Yankee Stadium with, high-end Homeland Security there.
Yeah.
They weren't going to bother me, and I kind of laughed a little bit, and I said, all right, well, I guess we're getting thrown out on opening night. Now, back at the set on Channel 10, the late, great Doug White with Kathy Ray, and they were as shocked as I was.
Sure.
Live at McCoy, I'm Joe Rocco. Kathy and Doug, take it away before they throw me out.
Pressing reason, the beauty of live television, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Getting a technical. Okay, Joseph, thank you. Okay, moving on now.
And so the director and the crew right away, a lot of times in those live shots, those anchors are kicked back and they're watching or half watching or having some tea, well, they got into position really quickly and they were ready. And I had to throw it back to them as they shut the lights off on me and kicked me off. And to this day, I don't know how they filled, because they had to fill 2 minutes, which when you have that little notice is difficult to do. You're at the end of the newscast.
Yeah.
They don't have stories just loaded, ready to go.
Yeah.
So to this day, I don't know how they filled the time. I'll have to ask Kathy, because actually she's a neighbor now, lives just 2 miles away. I'll have to see if she remembers even how they filled the time.
Sure.
So what happened, I guess, becoming a viral sensation, before that, we put that clip on the feed to all the NBC affiliates around the country.
Right.
Which is 210 stations.
Yep.
And apparently, more than a few producers and sportscasters got a kick out of it.
Sure.
And they ran it.
Absolutely.
And then we got a call from Marv Albert, who was producing his Albert Achievement Awards videos at the time, and using them when he was going on different shows. So they bought it and he put it on his video, and then he went on the Letterman show, which he regularly did with his Albert Achievement Awards, and it was in there. And then Len Berman, when he did his bloopers on the Today Show, he got a hold of it because they're an NBC affiliate. Len was at the NBC station in New York. He ran it, and Dick Clark's Blooper and Practical Joke people called, and they bought it. So Channel 10 made some money off it, and I think I got some time off for it because I needed some vacation days I didn't have to go to Vegas and do a boxing event.
Sure.
When the license ran out 5 years later, Dick Clark's people called back because they were doing things the right way by the book, and they renewed it, and Channel 10 and I got paid again.
That's great.
Not big bucks,
no,
but enough to buy a few GoPros.
Yeah.
And then the ironic thing is, of course, now in these days it winds up on YouTube, and I haven't looked in a long time, so I don't know how many people have seen it, but you may know better than me. It's probably more than 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's quite a few. It's one of those things that live TV, when it happens, and you kind of roll with it. Again, Doug and Kathy, right? I mean, they're just the consummate professionals that they were. They were ready to go, and I mean, I tend to think that a lot of the sportscasters on the NBC, circuit there picked it up just because it was an opportunity to have Doug White on their airwaves, and that
could
was,
have been.
he was just, he's a legend. So
right, and so here's I don't think I told you this, and I've never seen this, but a friend of mine in New York told me. So Len Berman ran it on his 11 o'clock newscast. At the time, Al Roker was the local weather guy, and I guess Len, a few nights later, was doing opening night at Shea Stadium for a Mets game. So he's out there, and Al Roker came on the field dressed as an umpire and kicked Len Berman off the field to recreate what happened to us at McCoy Stadium. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I should have requested it. But,
Al Roker, if you're watching, if you could just dig that out, please just find
Al,
that.
I'm sure has it in his favorite file.
And he watches too, so it's great. And hopefully Al will buy some tickets for the Southcoast Comedy Series as well.
Al probably has material.
I would imagine he does. I mean, he's been on that channel forever.
He's got to have material.
Sure, absolutely.
So that's what happened. That's what happened there. So it's the clip that never dies, and it's been on ABC. One night, ABC did the top 20 bloopers of all time before a Monday Night Football game back in the mid 90s. This happened in the early 90s. I didn't see it, but I'm told we were number 13, I guess. So
all right, well,
not bad. Didn't crack the top 10, but we were in the top 20.
You're in the top 10 in my book.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, you know, that's what I'm here for. Joe Rocco, thank you for joining me in the car, sir. Folks, go online. If you want to see the lineup of the artists, it's going to be an excellent series. Great sponsors, of course, Carl's Collision Center and Linex. It's going to be at the Whites of Westport. The raffle by Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses. Folks, I mean, does it get any better than this?
And you're invited.
Oh, thank you.
Invited.
Well, maybe we'll just drive right there.
If we get ice cream.
Okay. Well, we can use that last advance you got, the licensing thing you got. Well, it's on you then.
It's on me. It's fine.